Hi Cousin Donald, how are you? We're back again. We just want to continue on with what we were talking about before, which is the defence of the free world and the way it can be done so cheaply and so creatively. You see, your enemies are so many. Let us be your customato to the young Mike Tyson. Now, you never fight on your enemy's ground, and you never give your enemies any help whatsoever. You crush them because they're out to crush you. The media worldwide, apart from a few, portray you as some psychotic madman. Now, you don't need them, you don't want them, they're your enemy. The bureaucracy in the UN and within Washington is also your enemy. Now, when I suggested on behalf of my friends and I that you should take a disused military base where the free nations of the world could discuss defence, of course, that's part one. Now, if you don't want to develop another gigantic bureaucracy that's sclerotic and slow moving, give them a bit of pain. Don't give bureaucrats luxurious surroundings. Give them a military base with adequate but Spartan accommodation. They can all sit around the big ret rooms or dining halls and talk about things. It's very informal. It's safe and it doesn't cost much. Now, that military base should be leased at a peppercorn rent to the United Free Nations Defence Pact. Maybe one of your mates who's a billionaire might care to buy one and donate it. Because this is the start of something big. What we're really starting here, Cousin Donald, is Facebook for the Free Nations, right? We're on the same wavelength? Now, you've released enormous energy within the United States. We want to see you, using creative thinking, release that enormous energy within the Free Nations. You haven't witnessed America at war? I have. It's incredible. The power and the speed and the efficiency is incredible. I was only a small boy, but I haven't forgotten it. Okay, and so have two of my friends who fought beside the US in various conflicts. Now, when you establish this, here's who you have completely stuffed. For one thing, all the media who hate you, there's no need for them to be hanging around a military base. You don't need them. Because what the Free Nations of the world are doing are having a private conversation as how best to coordinate their defence systems and make the most powerful bloc for good the world has ever seen. Please someone give this to the transition team, because I haven't seen our ideas promulgated anywhere in the world. Secondly, what you're going to do, you're going to make all the dodgy nations, the ones who vote against you and you'll vote to condemn Israel, you're going to make them extremely insecure, because they know the bad guys are out there, and they know if you ignore them that they're in real trouble. So this is pretty obvious stuff. This costs stuff all, but keep it cheap, because you're a man who likes things brought in on time under budget. Keep it cheap, keep it low key, because like Facebook, once you release the energy of the Free Nations, they'll all be getting together saying, why don't we talk about tourism, mutual tourism? Why don't we talk about travel? Why don't we talk about mutual trade? And before you know it, on that big military base, at very little expense, you've created a sort of a Free Nations Facebook, where they're all locked in together, they're all talking to each other, and they don't have to think about the unfree nations or the partially free nations. This, we think, is a brilliant concept. Now, let's follow that concept on. Meeting the US President and having the big red carpet treatment at the White House. That's what just every world leader wants to do. Now, if you walk in and you start this Free Nations concept, we'll do a speech for you later, because you should be doing some headland speeches. You've gone bang, bang, bang in round one. You've decked the partially free and the unfree nations. Because Donald, you're good at exclusive clubs. You've just started an exclusive club. And that exclusive club is the most powerful club militarily in the world. And the biggest force for good. Now, at the end of World War II, the USA had 12 to 14 million men and women under arms, and so did Britain, 6 million Brits and 6 million for the colonies. That was 26 million soldiers, sailors and airmen. Enormous. Now, that's just the British Empire and the US. What about all the other nations? What about Japan? What about all the other nations in the Pacific? So you can see what enormous power this Free Nations will have. Now, this is where, Cousin Donald, if you've got any guts, you're not going to play any of the games the bureaucrats want. Now, red carpet treatment at the White House, only for members of the Free Nations. Or the partially free, you're trying to get into the free group, make the whole thing bigger. Now, that's not being rude. All the nations that have disrespected the US president, not giving the red carpet treatment, they're fine. They have a playpen. They have a place to talk to every nation in the world. It's called the United Nations. Let them go there. Let them talk to that very talented woman, Nikki Haley. But don't give any of them the red carpet treatment, because your job is to look after your own nation first, and this is a brilliant idea, and also to look after the other democracies and enlarge democracy. So what you're really doing, you're setting out a charter internationally for nations who are going to be your defence associates. And of course, as I said, as soon as you establish that big army base, you can get rid of all the media you don't like. And they're your enemies. Why should they be privy to what's going on? It's not their business at all. And you will make an enormous impact. You will make the partially free nations and the totally unfree nations very uneasy. Because if you can put together 90 free nations within a couple of years in this pact, how can any of the unfree nations say they've got any enemies? How can they pretend that a nation with 100th of their GNP is going to attack them? It's all nonsense. Now, if you do that, that's round 1 and 2. Rounds 3 and 4 is you're working to the body, Donald. You're going boof, 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 boof. What you're doing is you're saying to the partially free and the unfree nations, you don't get to the White House. You don't get those big photo opportunities. You're not our mates at all. You're people that we deal with on a business level, on a competitive level. Go and see our business attaches. If you have diplomatic problems, go to the UN and talk to them. This Free Nation thing, we're just the United Free Nations Defence Pact of the world. Of course, within a few years, it'll be like Facebook, and all these other considerations will jump up, and before you know it, you'll have the United Free Nations done very cheaply. You've formed, once all these other things developed, you've had a beautiful divorce from the United Nations, and you keep letting all those people go to the United Nations, and you support it. You reduce your financial support for the United Nations. As more and more functions are undertaken by the Free Nations of the world, you reduce your support for the United Nations. It will either become the charter it was supposed to be, or it will dwindle and die. And Donald, who cares? For the first time in US history, you haven't had one leader who said, okay, we're going to cut the Free Nations out from the rest of the flock, and we're going to lead them, and the others can go and do what they damn well like. Now, we think this is going to make you the greatest international president ever, Donald. Have a good think about it. Please someone run it past your team, it's obvious. And no favours for non-free nations. No big slab-up dinners at the White House. Any concern unfree nations have, let your relevant departments sort it out. Don't you give any red carpet treatment to any unfree nation that has worked against you in the past. And don't you deal with any commercial media network that bags you. Let your press secretary talk to them. Don't deal with them directly. Don't appear on their TV stations. Let your big billionaire guys and girls be. Let them do that stuff for you, don't. People who attack you, you don't advantage them in any way. You will make those networks look so hollow by refusing to play their game on their territory, because they'll still be trying to tear you to bits. Now when it comes to Hollywood, totally ignore Hollywood. You don't need them. If you're the best international president the world has ever seen, and we have strategies to make you hopefully the best domestic president the world has ever seen, they will come crawling to your door. But if you suck up to them and you're weak and don't listen to all your idiot advisors in Washington, they're the ones that got George Bush and President Obama into quadrupling the national debt and losing so much US prestige. Have a good think about it, Donald. We can't see a thing wrong with this plan. Thanks so much for listening. Would someone please give it to your transition team? There we go.